How you getting on, Newfoundland and Labrador? Hey now, everybody. It's Pete back again. Sorry, it's been a little while. I did say after the sprouting video I was going to get right on and do a microgreens video. As you can see, I am a little delinquent in that. So I am going to get to it now. If you recall, the point of all the channel and the videos is to get live raw enzymes into the hands of people that don't have a lot of live raw enzymes available. And in our beloved province, it's tough getting any raw live enzymes when everything is shipped in from California and Mexico, and it takes weeks and weeks and weeks to get in, and then it's put on the shelf and it's all dead. So we talked about sprouting, and we did a video on that. And if you remember, I think I made a mention of it in the video. So what's the difference, right? What's the difference between sprouting, microgreens, and, fruits and vegetables? And what's the best ones to eat? And my little joke is I refer it all to cannibalism. If you were a cannibal, what would you rather eat? A little tiny gooey baby that doesn't have any muscle mass and it's kind of smelly and there's not much to them? Or do you eat the old senior citizen that's walking around in a walker or Zimmer frame and, they're almost dead, which technically is the broccoli. If we're talking about broccoli sprouts, I use broccoli sprouts as an example. So you can sprout the seeds and eat them. It's very healthy. Certainly better to eat the baby than it is to eat the old dead person. The broccoli is the old senior citizen, the actual broccoli itself. Now, it's good to eat, don't get me wrong, but the pound per pound, highest density per calorie consumed is at the microgreen stage, which is the equivalent of a cannibal eating a teenager. Lots of big muscles and lots of energy and growing and everything pointing in the right direction. So that's the next stage. If you're really looking for the strongest things that you can put in your body to keep you healthy, microgreens are it. As you know, I grow them like crazy. So here's a tray of microgreens. I have a grow system set up in my house. I've got a grow system set up in my greenhouse. You by no means have to have a greenhouse to have a grow system for microgreens. You can haul them right out of the cocoa mat or the soil, and this is live raw enzymes. In your mouth, chew them up, blend them up, put them in salads, put them on sandwiches. I could just sit there and eat them all day. It's as healthy as you can get. I'll talk about some of the different types of seeds that you can grow microgreens out of. There's an endless amount. So depending on your tastes, some of them are so beautiful. Purple cabbage is one of my favorites. If you grow purple cabbage, you get this beautiful field of purple sprouts. The concept of microgreens, I could probably do 100 videos and not fill them all. Every different seed has a different time that it's best to pick in terms of nutritional density. You don't want to leave them too long. You don't want to leave them too short. It certainly is a whole lot more nutrient dense than sprouts are. And it's certainly a lot more nutrient dense than growing a cabbage and eating the cabbage. But you have to mow down a lot of them. But the good thing is they're really easy to make. If you have a window, you can put them down on the soil, or if you do it hydroponically, you can put it on on your whatever grow system you're using for hydroponics, and you can just bung it in a window, and they'll grow like crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you the systems that I use for both. So I've been a soil grower for most of my life until I met one of my redeemers. His name is Larry, and he runs an operation out of Baltimore, Maryland, where he grows microgreens and he supplies restaurants all over the country. So the guy is in the microgreen business, and he also is a teacher, and he likes to teach people how to grow microgreens. And the company is called City Hydro. So my hydroponic setup, I've used a lot of his processes, and he's got videos all over the web. You can find those as well. So some people like growing in soil. Some people like growing hydroponically. It really depends on how you want to do it. Soil is actually easy. You need a little bit of equipment for hydroponic growing, but it's simple. It's not complicated at all. We'll talk a little bit about the different types of microgreens, but what's most important is everybody just starts in and growing them. They're a fortune to buy in the store. If you go into Whole Foods or whatever you have in your area and you buy a little tiny package, no bigger than that, it's like $5, where $5 can grow you an entire flat that you could eat for a month. So I am going to get down to it. We're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about the different types of them very quickly. And then I think I'm just going to start showing you step by step on how to grow them. So let's get into it. All right. Where are you? There you are. Talk to you shortly. Hey, everybody. Me again. So in the time of me actually making this video, in the time that it's dragged on, I have been introduced to, this is a very long story, but I'm going to give a very short version of it. Many of you who follow my channel know that I've got a couple of health challenges that I've been working through in the last few years. And I was introduced to a doctor that is a German doctor that has a clinic in Germany and one in Switzerland and one in up in Seattle, I'm pretty sure. And I'm still learning about some of the different protocols that he has. He's very famous. The guy's name is Dietrich Klinghardt. And I have a couple of the people that went through a stem cell program with me are in various stages of communicating with him and signing on as a patient. And he's got a retrovirus protocol. And in that retrovirus protocol, it talks about increasing your intake of broccoli sprouts. So, as usual, I can't do anything unless I research the hell out of it and figure out what's the absolute best way to do it. And it put me in a bit of a conundrum because everybody that I've seen in the literature are sprouting in jars. Yet the concept of the whole thing is that the broccoli sprouts are supposed to be 2 inches long before you chew them up and eat them. And of course, it's the sulforaphane in the broccoli that's the important thing. I've done a little bit of research on specifically what it is and how it works. And there's, that being said, I've been eating broccoli sprouts and microgreens for years, not even knowing it's very good for you, but not knowing that there's a specific antiviral component to it that is very, very beneficial. And if Dr. Klinghardt is right and the research that he's doing is right, this is groundbreaking stuff. Groundbreaking stuff. And, he's got a protocol that involves taking, and I know this is a little bit outside the scope of the channel, but I'm just throwing it out there in case anybody is having lingering health challenges that doctors can't really help them with, and they suspect it's sort of, of a virus nature or whatever. It's definitely something that you should start looking into. Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, retrovirus protocols. So anyway, one of the points of it is a heaping tablespoon of broccoli sprouts for the sulforaphane. And there's a woman named Rhonda Patrick who's got a number of videos online. If there was a world's expert on broccoli sprouts, it has to be this woman. I don't know her from a bucket of paint. I've never met her. I just have heard a few of her videos, and boy, does she know her stuff. Another thing that she talks about is a way to increase the sulforaphane bioavailability by factors of 3 just by increasing the temperature of the broccoli sprouts before you eat them, which is fascinating. I haven't actually dug into any of the studies. I've just watched a couple of her videos, but I'm very curious to look at them, and I'm going to. And that involves taking a kettle and a standard kitchen thermometer and heating the temperature of the water to 70 degrees and then pouring it on the broccoli sprouts and let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes and then consuming them when you need them. It's sort of like the whole turmeric, and then somebody realized, oh, good heavens, if you take it with an oil base, it increases the bioavailability by 10 times. And then if you add heat to it, it's another 10 times. So it's hundreds and hundreds of times more bioavailable just by consuming it in oil and with a heat source. So I've been wondering, because if I'm going to do this protocol, I'm still waiting for a specific type of tea to come that I'm going to take with it. And as soon as that comes, bam, I'm going to hit the road running, and I'm going to start doing this protocol at 10 times the speed. So I've been wondering a little bit on what's the best. Sprouting in jars, and then showing it the sun to get the chlorophyll, or sprouting from in microgreens. So I'm going to address that. I'm going to go off on a little tangent for a few minutes, so bear with me, because I think it'll help a lot of people that are interested in it. And then we'll, ultimately we're still going to be doing a lot of sprouting, and that's what I want people to do. So again, broccoli sprouts are just one of many, but I wanted to throw that out there. I'm going to update the video, and I'm going to be showing this to a lot of people that are interested in Klinghardt protocol. So I just wanted to say, hello, everybody. Nice to meet you all. And I look forward to continuing lots of meaningful discussions on the Facebook page for Dr. Klinghardt's unofficial group. If you have any sort of health challenges relating to any sort of a viral Lyme disease, what he's doing with this protocol and autism is nothing short of spectacular. So if you have anybody in your circles that has autistic children, the protocols are very, very simple. It's almost laughable how simple some of them are. Broccoli sprouts and types of tea and all this kind of stuff. But that all just goes to show food is medicine, right? And if you can find out what that specific thing, I have been to, no kidding, over 150 doctors. I stopped counting at 100. And every one of them have said, you're the 1% that we can't fix. And I'm used to hearing that now. But I like to think that my condition is going to be like an episode of House. Dr. House, Hugh Laurie's show, right? You walk in and you're sick as a dog, and they try all the normal stuff. That doesn't work. And then Hugh Laurie goes, oh, I got an idea. Let's put him on a treadmill and pepper him with rose petals. Let's see if that works. And then that doesn't work. And then right at the end, when you're just as sick as you can think, someone will say, give him a bowl of Lucky Charms and take the green clovers out. And then that's it, right? That's very well what all illness could be. Just finding that one little thing that makes the difference, and you do it, and then your health returns. So anyway, just one little side note to the Newfie crowd that's following my videos. This might not apply, but I'm going to do a little demonstration of side-by-side of sprouts and microgreens for the Klinghardt people. Just so we can maybe get some clarification from the Klinghardt group on which is better. But it is a very interesting thing to see, just to see them all side by side. So I wanted to throw this video in real quick just to explain why the heck I'm comparing sprouts to microgreens all of a sudden. Okay, everybody. Talk to you soon. Okay, so here we are. Welcome to my downstairs bathroom, which you probably know from my kombucha videos. And my kombucha videos. I rack it all off down here. I just wanted to show very quickly a couple of different types of the things that I sprout and microgreen on a regular basis. I usually get most of my seeds at Mountain Valley Seed here in Utah. They ship all over the world. In the microgreen industry, there are two real 800-pound gorillas that are known as the seed places. Mountain Valley Seeds is one, and there's another one called Johnny Seeds. I have nothing to do with either of them. I'm just very happy customers of both of them. I usually get mine at Mountain Valley because I live in Utah, and I can just go down there and I can pick them right up. So life is good. But they ship, I think it's probably might even have free shipping after a certain amount. So their seeds, they have everything you can possibly want in seeds. It's unbelievable. I actually went down there one time, and the guy told the guy that, I do a lot of microgreening of the greenhouse and all that. And he took me in, showed me around. It was really, really cool. So anyway, and again, there are books on microgreens you can buy. I've got a good one. It's kind of like the Microgreen Bible. I don't remember who wrote it off the top of my head, but I'll find out and I'll post it. And it basically breaks down every single microgreen you can have and what they're good for and when the ideal time to harvest them is. So very handy to know all that stuff. So here's just I haul out two of my boxes of seeds, and I just thought it'd be fun just to flip through it real fast. Lettuce, so butterhead lettuce, basil microgreens. Oh my God, are so good. For those dairy consumers out there, if you take matzo cheese and if you can get a fresh tomato from the garden and put the basil sprouts on top of it with a little bit of balsamic and olive oil and salt and pepper, to die for. Anyway, so basil microgreens, sprouting mix. Sprouting mix is a mix of half a dozen different types of things. I have no idea what's in it. Red clover sprouting seeds. Kale. Kale is a very nutritionally dense one, so I would definitely be ordering kale. There's more basil. That's another type of basil. What is that? Tomatoes. Sorry, that's not supposed to be in there. That's supposed to be for my greenhouse. Radishes, very strong tasting microgreens, but very healthy. Another organic blended sort of mix. There's black-seeded Simpson lettuce, which is a good one too. Of course, the good old romaine lettuce. This is a bag of broccoli seeds. So I literally grow that many broccoli microgreens that I buy that in bigger amounts. So some alfalfa seeds. That is some red sales lettuce. These are peas. Aromath. Aromath is spectacular as well. What is this? Cabbage. Cabbage is very good. So cabbage and purple cabbage, absolutely fantastic. So you can go online, or you can get one of those books, and you can start researching on what specific microgreens you want to grow. But when you've got trays and trays and trays of all the different beautiful looking microgreens, it's addictive. Once you start at it, you'll want to have it all the time. And then how you grow them, we'll get into that real quick. Sorry, I do everything in one take. Sorry, my house is a mess too, yes. Okay, there's all the kombucha stuff. So here's a couple of my grow stations right here. I wasn't expecting to come in and do this, but like there's some broccoli sprouts right there. There's some more right here. So what I basically did is I went to Home Depot and just got these lights and wired them into a rack that I just bought. And then in the wintertime, I grow in here. You see, it's total slop job. I got some styrofoam, and I just styrofoamed off the whole thing. It helps keep the heat in the wintertime. Summer here now, so you don't need it. And then over here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stations. These are LED lights, so these cover the full spectrum of lighting. So if you really get into it, you can buy these things. They're not expensive at all. There's my germinator box right there. And then I've got a couple of trays that I use, these green trays from Larry's that I get everything started in the dark with those styrofoam lids. And then from there, I put them under the lights, and then they start to grow. So, there's a lot of information online on how to set up lighting and all that. As you can see, this is some piece of crap plastic thing I bought at Home Depot for probably 50 bucks. And I just sort of MacGyvered the light underneath it. And it works perfect. Everything is connected to a power cord, and then I have it on a timer. So the timer is for, I don't know, 7 or 8 hours a day. Looks like probably more than that, probably 12 hours a day. And it keeps the lights going out here. And there's my spray bottle. It's clean plastic, so there's no chemicals leaching out of it. And then I have, this is my fertilizer that I use. You don't really have to use fertilizer, but I was at a farmer's market and I saw this and it looked really cool. And like I said, have nothing to do with Turboganic. Don't know him from a bucket of paint, but I use it and I seem to like it. So let's get into business. Hey everybody. Okay, greetings from the Wall of Fame. Yes, if you're not on the Wall of Fame, you should be on the Wall of Fame. Before we get started, I just wanted to do a quick couple of seconds on the two different mediums. So for growing microgreens, you can use soil or you can use hydroponics. I use both. I tend to use the soil at my greenhouse a little more. I use hydroponics indoors. And this is all just personal preference. There's no rhyme or reason or science behind any of this. For me, if I'm growing in my house, and I'm kind of lucky that I've got a basement that's sort of converted into a grow operations. And most people don't have the space, so you literally can do this on a table in front of a windowsill. So if you're lugging dirt in and out of your house and putting it in containers and windowsills and whatnot, that can be kind of messy. It gets all over the place, and so I usually stick to hydroponics inside the house, and I usually use soil outside the house. And just in general, some things just grow better in soil. Some things taste better in soil. But like anything that's heavy and dense, like a sunflowers, Sunflowers are one of my all-time favorite things to microgreen. They're delicious. They're big and thick, and you can have salads with them. They're absolutely fantastic. They just like soil more than cocoa mats. So I grow them in soil. And there's a few other things, you know, as well, that are just typically will do better in soil than hydroponics. So for people that don't understand what the concept of I mean, they know what hydroponics is, but how it pertains to microgreens, hydroponically speaking, you can grow seeds in water, but they have to have something to sit on so that the roots can grow down so that the micros can shoot up. And in that case, and what a lot of people use is they're called cocoa mats. And all it is strands of coconut that they somehow compress together. And it's perfect because you can put the seeds over it and it holds them all in place. And then you dampen everything and then it starts to sprout and the seeds go down and the micros go up. So I guess one of the pros, and that's good and bad, you know, it's much cleaner because you can take those little... like on a standard 10 by 20 tray, the black 10 by 20 trays, you know, you can get them pre-cut so they all fit in there perfect. And that's kind of sexy because you can just take a whole piece of one out and put it on a plate and put it in your window. And then you can let it grow in your kitchen and eat them live as you need them, right? Or if you want salad, just pick them and leave the rest of it down in your grow station. You have to water it a little bit more, particularly if you live in a dry climate. Like I'm in Utah here, and I have to water mine sometimes twice a day in the dead of summer because it's so dry. The negative thing about the cocoa mats is they're more expensive for sure. Like you can go to Home Depot and buy yourself a big bag of organic soil for next to nothing, particularly this time of year. And it's pretty cheap just to throw a bit of dirt in a tray. But the cocoa mats are, you know, if you buy them pre-cut, they're like $1 each, maybe or more. Or if you know, I buy them in a great big, huge, uncut piece, and it's a lot cheaper. And then I have a pair of garden shears that I just cut through them. I will be very quick to show you. There it is right there. Oh, am I doing this wrong? No, I'm not. Oh, there it is, sorry. So that is just one great big, large cocoa mat. And then as I need them, I just cut off chunks. And like I could literally cut one, a full 10 by 20 size, and fit it right down in the tray. And once it's in the tray, you know, I can grow out of that. But like I said, it's better to have them cut up in little small pieces, because if you cut them up in little small pieces, then you can literally take a piece of one, bring it upstairs, and you can use it. So that's the benefits of hydro. Soil, cheaper. That's it, really. Some things grow better in it. So it really all depends. Like, you know, anybody can go get soil. You know, and cocoa mats are a little bit trickier to find. They're all over the web. You can buy it on Amazon and you can have them shipped to your house, and then you have enough to last you a lifetime. So I'll do a quick video. I'm just going to be really, really fast because I'm just reinventing the wheel. There's thousands of videos on YouTube about how you go about growing microgreens. So if you want to dive in and get into the specifics of it, it's probably better. If you want to use soil, I mean, it's really easy. I'll just do a quick 5 seconds on each. You take a tray, be it a 10 by 20, or you get, you know, proper growing trays, put some soil down. Some people will soak the seeds overnight so that they start germinating and lay it out flat. Then some people will put paper towels down and keep that paper towel wet until they start to grow up. After a day or two, when they start to grow, peel off the paper towel, put them under your lights, you're good to go. The beauty about soil is that you can do what they call bottom water. So you can take some of those 10 by 20 trays, will have holes in the bottom of them. So you can put a tray that does not have a hole in the bottom of them. You can put that tray down on top of it, and then you can just bottom water. So you pull out the tray, put a bit of water down, and everything just soaks into the water. And you can put more water in that way, and that you don't have to water it as much. So that's good. And then, you know, put them under the lights, and or if you don't have lights, stick it in a windowsill. And then the ambient sun from outside will just make them grow, and life is good. You do not need to have grow lights to grow microgreens. It's a lot better, and it's not that expensive. You go to Home Depot and get one of those big like T8 lights, and put it in one of those, you know, the long light tubes where you put the bulb in and screw it, and then you just pull a cord and light comes on. You can hook that up to a timer and then it'll come on automatically and you never have to worry about it. You can convert a closet in your house. A lot of people will just simply take a closet that have shelves on it and just put a rubber mat down to protect the base of the closet and just put them all in there and put the lights in, and it's really cool. So you can go nuts with it like I've kind of done here, or you can literally, don't have to do any of that at all. You can just put it in your windowsill and they'll grow. But once you put it in the windowsill and you have your first taste of it, you're probably going to go, oh boy, okay, that's it. It's kind of like the kombucha thing with me. I started off with 1 tap, now I got 3. So that's soil growing. And then if you really want to get a soup to nuts A to Z on hydroponic growing, City Hydro with Larry, he's got videos that are absolutely spectacular. I'm going to go through it very quickly and do a kind of a very quicker version of it, but Larry's the man. He'll, you know, explain it all to you. And I'm not going to promise, but you know how in videos on YouTube everybody goes, if you follow the link down here, you'll find it. I have no idea how to do that. So anyway, let's start off with a quick version on hydroponics. Alrighty. Howdy everybody. Okay, here we go. First off, we're going to start with soil. So greetings from the greenhouse. Again, you don't need to have a greenhouse to do all this, but this is my greenhouse. Everything is empty now because it's a summer and it's 120 degrees out here on a good day. I went to Walmart the other day, and I don't usually buy anything at Walmart, but you can pretty much guarantee once a year they have all their organic soil go on sale. So needless to say, I have stocked up on soil for quite a while. So there's a bunch of potting mixes, and that'll get me through pretty much the rest of the year, I would guess. Even if I use it at a pretty healthy clip, I'm not probably going to burn through it all. So we're going to take a look at the process of doing microgreens in trays with dirt. These are standard 10 by 20 trays. You can get them just about anywhere. If you notice, one of them has holes through it, and then the other one is solid. So the trick to it is when you, I'm just going to use some soil. I mean, you can use any potting soil you want. I'm going to use some soil that is an organic soil that's used for vegetables specifically. And I've got trays and trays of it lying around. Again, this stuff you can buy anywhere. It's organic, and it's made for vegetables, most of it. So organic garden soil, you know, specifically for vegetables. But any good, clean, organic soil will do. So take it, spread it all out. And then the trick is give it a decent soak. You want to top water it at least once so the top of the soil is moist. And then once you've got it top watered and the seeds are on and the papers are on to keep it moist, then you're good to go with bottom watering. And bottom watering makes it a lot easier. So that's where we are to start. So just simple soil in a simple tray. So here we are, quick run out in the garden. Tomatoes growing down there, that's all carrots right there. Beets all right there. Bunch of onions growing there, bunch of basil growing right there. These are mandarin trees. This is a lime tree right here. Rows of cucumbers, tomatoes, kale, chard, mint, more onions starting there, oregano, thyme, rosemary, celery, blah, 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 blah. With a whole bunch of new stuff starting, strawberries there that are all gone for the year. So I'll just take my hose and I'll give this thing a really solid douse. Good thing is you can drown the heck out of it. It's not going to get all skunky, because what you do at this point, and I really can't do two of it at the same time, pick it up, but I'll just pick up the tray. And because remember, the inside tray has got holes in it. The outer tray has none. So I'm going to pick up that tray and I'm just going to let it sit in the dirt for 5 minutes. And all that water will run through. And then once the water's run through, I'm going to put it back in there. And then we're going to take it inside for seeding. Okay, so we got the tray inside now. And right here we have the broccoli sprouts. So I was going to do sunflowers in them, but I don't actually have the sunflowers. Sunflower seeds, you have to soak them and let them sit overnight, and then when they start growing a little tail, then you can put them in. So I'm actually going to do these dry. It's not critical. What you could do is you could take these seeds and you could put them in a container with water and let them sit overnight, and then they'll start to sprout in the container. And then you can rub them on the soil. So basically, no science to it. Just sprinkle them out. You don't want to put them in big clumps together. If you put them in big clumps together, they're going to stifle when they get bigger, and they're not going to grow as well. So, you know, just sort of eyeball it, sort of squint a little bit, and you can sort of see where they're all hanging out, and then you can add a little bit more to certain areas. You know, I have a little sort of like a shot glass thing, and I find that if I fill up one of these little shot glasses, it's pretty much just enough to cover the whole tray. Now, what I do next, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. It will kill anything that is there that's going to start molding or get funky. It doesn't affect the seeds in any way, shape, or form. So what I'll do is I'll give the top of the seeds a good dousing with the H2O2. Just typical cheap hydrogen peroxide that you can get at Walgreens, CVS, Shoppers Drug Mart, whatever. And if there's any creepy crawlies there in the soil, that should put an end to that. Okay, so I am going to now get the covers for it and spray a little bit of water on it. Okay, so next I have a backpack type of sprayer system that I use. They're not expensive. You can get a couple of gallon ones. You just have to make sure the plastic is clean. A lot of them are used to spray chemicals, and they're in really, really nasty plastic that leaches out all the crap. So if they're BPA-free ones, you just have to find them on Amazon. And I give the seeds a good douse, because if the seeds are dry, they are not going to germinate, because the soil is not wet enough to make it happen. So good dousing with water. Now the trick is, you have to keep them wet. And if you live in a dry climate, they're going to dry out in 5 minutes. So what is the trick to keeping them wet? And the trick is paper. You really could put take another one of these black trays and invert it and put it on top. That'll help trap the moisture in a bit. Because we've given the soil a good dense, the soil is very dense, so that's going to keep them wet a little bit. But a good trick that everybody uses is, a paper towel or a newspaper. So if you put a paper towel down and you kind of push it down just a little tiny bit, it'll cover up a 20 by 10 perfectly. Get my water again. And then just drench the towel. So give it a little poke down in the corners and make sure the towel is completely soaking. And when the towel is soaking, it's going to keep your seeds wet. So you just got to make sure every day for the first 3 or 4 days to keep drenching the heck out of your paper towel. Because your paper towel will dry out just as easy as the seeds will dry out. So we'll give it a good spray. And then we're going to take this and we're going to put it in the dark. Now, again, one of the covers, one of the exact same trays that we have here now, will go very well on the top. You could just turn it over, or you can even put it right straight on top flat, and it'll do a number of things. First off, it'll keep the sheet stuck to the soil and the seeds, and it'll block out all the light, because right now we don't want any light until they germinate. So I'm going to keep spraying these, so you see that's good and wet. And then the next step is to find a place where it's cool, continues to stay damp until the seeds germinate. So for me, that's in one of my racks. So stand by. Alrighty then. So this is one of my grow stations. I have lights up there, but they're not turned on. This is a mat that I bought at Bed Bath & Beyond for boots, I think. You know, when you come into your house, you put your boots in there and it keeps everything, keeps your floor dry. It's very, very, very thick plastic. And it's perfect for putting on trays. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my tray. This is going to be a little bit tricky because I have to use my hand. Stand by. Okay, so the tray goes up. And there we go. So now I've got the tray in the boot map, or the boot rack or whatever it is. And I have one of my, so this is a tray. This is just a piece of styrofoam. I've got toothpicks on it because it's made for my green trays. But what I'm going to do, just to keep it damp, is I'm going to put this cover, and if you don't, obviously don't have to put one of those on. You can take one of the trays, put it on top. You can even take saran wrap and put saran wrap right over the top. Now that's going to keep it dark, and it's going to seal in the moisture. So I'm probably just going to keep on going with my other videos because I want to get this posted as quickly as I can because I promised some of the people on the Klinghardt site that I would get it up. So what's going to happen with these guys is that I'm going to water them every day. And then eventually this paper towel I'm going to look in, is going to be 2 inches off the ground. And it's going to be a whole bunch of little tiny baby sprouts. And once that's done, I'm going to slide it in under the lights. Or I'm going to turn, actually I'm just going to take the cover off and I'm going to turn that light on. And that'll be fine. If you don't have grow lights, you just put it in a windowsill. Because then you want the light to start shining on it so the chlorophyll starts coming in. And that's what's going to happen. And after a few days, and you put them under the lights, that's basically what they're going to look like here. You're going to have full-on couple-inch long microgreens. So basically, that's growing in soil. So that's option number 1. Okay, so that's soil. Number 1. Timeline, water it twice a day for a couple of days. The sprouts will start growing. Once it lifts up about an inch or so, take the paper towel off. Be very careful when you take it off. Pull it off nice and slowly. Because if you just go, some of the sprouts will have adhered to the paper towel, particularly if it dries out. And then put it in your windowsill or put it under your grow lights and you're off to the races. After it gets an inch or two, I mean, you can start harvesting it right away if you want. But really, an inch or two is where you really want to, in general, is where you really want it for most. If you want to get the Microgreens book that talks about every single one specifically, it'll tell you what the best time is to harvest. So the next one is going to be hydroponics. And hydroponics requires a little bit more equipment. Nothing complicated. Like I said, City Hydro has all this gear on their website. Basically it's trays that you can get anywhere. I like Larry's because the plastic is made for growing microgreens. And then a couple people have asked me about the sticks that I use. Those are for tying up tomatoes. You can go to Home Depot and they're just little round sticks. They're, fairly long. And you just take a pair of clippers and clip them off the width of the tray. And then you can lay them down in the tray. That keeps everything off of the plastic. Now, this plastic is fine. It's not a problem. I'm not doing it to keep it off the plastic. The plastic is clean. I'm doing it so that the roots have room to go down and find the water so that they can grow a lot better. So basically how it's going to roll out is I'm going to take my cocoa mat and I'm going to cut it up into squares. And the reason for that, I could put one big flat piece of cocoa mat down, that's no problem. But one of the benefits of cocoa mat growing over soil growing is that when you grow in soil, you've got a 10 by 20 or whatever size tray it is, forest of microgreens. So if you want to cut out a big chunk and bring it upstairs or put it in your kitchen or something like that, it's a lot more complicated with soil. Same thing with the cocoa mat. If you have a big old cocoa mat that's 10 by 20, it comes up in one piece, but you can cut it up into chunks and then you can see just the different chunks. And as it grows, you can take a chunk out and take it and just eat it, and you can leave the rest there growing. So basically what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be taking a big chunk of cocoa mat, cutting it up into chunks, soaking it in water. Then we're going to be putting seeds on top, spraying it with the H2O2, and then we're going to be putting it in trays, and we're going to give it a good watering, cover up the tray, put it in the dark. So it's the exact same thing as the soil, except there's no soil. So again, the problem with the cocoa mat is they don't recycle very well. You need to have I recycle them because I've got a big recycling tumblers outside. But, if you throw them out in your garden, it takes a while for them to break down. The soil, soil. Chuck it out. You can put it right in your garden if you want. And in a season, it's all composted and, back to the ground again. So I will get started on that. And we'll have microgreens hydroponically. Okay, here goes nothing. Wish me luck. Hydroponics 101, microgreens. So as I mentioned before, we've got the cocoa mat right there. What I did is I just basically took my scissors and cut a big chunk off. It ends right, it ends right there. And then I took that and I cut it up into chunks like this size. So these ones will actually fit very nicely in the tray. And then once they grow, you can pull them out as you need. And let's see, is this guy going to fit? Sure. So once you've got the cocoa mats in the in the tray. You should really be using, clean filtered water. Just for simplicity now for the video, I'm just going to use regular old tap water. But you want to pour the water in and submerge the mats completely. Because again, if the mats dry out, your seeds are going to dry out and no one's going to have a good time. So flip those over, flip that one over. That's enough water. And now basically what you should do is let these mats sit overnight in the water so that they can get a really, really good soaking. I know how basically the the cocoa mats react. So I'm going to speed it along just for the sake of getting the video out so people can start doing this faster. I'm going to let it soak probably for 5 or 10 minutes, but when I do that, I know full well that I'm probably going to have to water them a little bit more to make sure they don't dry out. So that's how I would, if you're new and starting off, I would probably leave them in this now overnight and let them get nice and wet, and then we'll pick it up from there for step 2. Okay, so here we go again. So I took 4 of the pads that are very well soaked by now, and the closer you can squeeze them together to cover up all the little holes, the better, because the seeds tend to fall down into them. So the better you can clump them all up, the better. Now these are, I decided to do some cabbage because honestly I've got that many broccoli sprouts on now, I'm never even going to come close to eating them all. So I figured I would try this with some purple, or red, it's actually purple cabbage. So you give the mats, just like with the soil, a good sprinkle. And you see the cocoa fibers kind of act as a trap to catch them. And you can give them good douse. Until they're all used up. Now a few will fall onto the tray. So what you do after is you just take the tray and you shake them all in and put them back on the fibers again. So same deal, hydrogen peroxide. Squirty, squirty. And this keeps anything from growing and creeping and crawling. Okay, so far so good. And now we're going to transfer them over into the green trays. Okay, so moving right along. Here's the trays, and here are my tomato sticks that you can get in any hardwood store, any Kent's or I guess Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever. And then you put down these so that the mats are not sitting right completely on the bottom. Larry would be mortified because I'm not counting out the exact number that you need. He knows the exact spacing of them, because you don't want too many, because if you put down too many, parts of the pad are not going to come in contact with the with the water. So that's good enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we'll call it 7. Now, same thing. Squirty, squirty. You never know what could be on your sticks. Never know what could be left over on your tray. Give it a little squirt. And then from there, we're going to just lift the mats off of the trays that we put the seeds on them and just lay them directly on top of the sticks. Okay, let me get my finger out of the way. And here we are. So again, if you cut it perfectly, like you can pull the cocoa mat out and you can roll it out so it's the exact shape of the tray. And then when you cut it, it'll fit exactly in the tray, but I never do that because that involves math and, blah, blah, blah. So I just sort of wing it. And, I've got some spaces here, but I could have actually gotten a lot more seeds in there if I had laid the tray on top of the roll of the cocoa mat, and it would have worked out a lot better. Now, you can buy them already pre-cut, and they fit in here like a glove. So it's all good though, nobody cares. So I give them a good douse, and from there we're going to put them in the dark. So I've cut out a plastic, like a styrofoam sort of lid for this with toothpicks on the other side that fits over it perfectly. And it'll just be like the soil. It's going to sit there for a couple of days. I'm going to spray it with the water every day and keep it all damp. And after a day or two, these are all going to start to sprout. And you're going to have a little jungle down there. And then after that, you will, as the sprouts start to grow, or as the microgreens, start to grow, when they get about an inch or so high, and I think the general rule of thumb is when it gets pretty much up to the edge of the lid, so, right about here, once they get to be about an inch, that's when you want to take them out and either put them in your windowsill or put them under your grow lights. So, Hydroponics 101. What I'll do is right before I put the cover on, I'll pour on another little drop of water so that there's a little bit more water in there than that, because I did not soak these for 24 hours. I just soaked them for 24 minutes, 24 seconds probably. So I'm going to add a little bit more water and we'll see how it looks. Here we are, last step. So I've got them in the little grow tray. That's nice and dark, and then I got a piece of plastic that I cut out the exact same size shape as the box, and I put toothpicks a little bit lower so that there's one side that fits down a little bit tighter for a snug fit. I just throw that right on there, fits like a glove, and then every day I'm going to spray it with a spray bottle. You can use a spray bottle, or if you want to get a big fancy one like that, you can do that, and keep it sprayed and wet. And then after 2 or 3 days, they'll all be up about, well, might be 3 or 4 days. It all depends on which ones you're growing. It'll be up about an inch or so. When it gets close to the top, you haul it out, you stick it in there, and you're off to the races. Or you stick it in a windowsill. So that's basically it. That's basically the process from soup to nuts. Growing in soil and growing hydroponically. So I will get this up. I've taken a couple of other videos as these were growing along. Normally I would probably do a video in another day or two just to show you the progress, and another day or two, but I want to get this up so people that are interested in growing these things for the Klinghardt group have it. So there you go. Okay, so here we are back at it again. Now these are the broccoli sprouts that have been sprouted for about a week, and they are very easily 2 inches long as directed by Dr. K. And then here's a tray that I put on probably 3 or 4 days ago. And they're all around an inch long now, but they're getting there slowly but surely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to take some of the sprouts out of the sprouting jar. And I think you'll see it'll be pretty clear what the better looking sprouts are. So I know everybody has been doing the procedures based on the sprouting jar. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think in the overall fullness and, certainly length and chlorophyll content and just in general health, I would be curious to hear from the Klinghardt team just to see what they say on sprouting in jars versus microgreens in soil, or possibly on mats like I'm growing here. Which one, they prefer. So I will grab a sample of the sprouts and I'll grab a sample of the microgreens. We'll lay them down side by side and take a look how both are looking after 7 days. Okay, so here we go. So here is our jar of broccoli sprouts after 7 days. And hey, I would eat that all day long. I started off with 2 tablespoons of seeds, which is not very much, and I've wound up getting about, pretty much 3/4 of a jar out of it. So that works for me. But if you do a side-by-side comparison between the broccoli microgreens versus the broccoli sprouts, it is really no contest. The broccoli sprouts are nowhere near 2 inches long after a week. The broccoli microgreens have got the roots intact, the seeds, the shaft, and the leaves, and they're well over 2 inches. So I got to think, pound per pound, it's probably a better deal to do the microgreens. Now, I don't know this for sure. Maybe there's some rule that says that, smaller sprouted seeds have more nutritional benefit for the Klinghardt protocol. So I would love to hear from somebody, that is in the know from Klinghardt, which is the best way to do it. But as you can see, doing them side by side, there's really no contest. I got to think the nutritional value was off the charts on the microgreens, and the chlorophyll level as well. So, you can sprout them, and I'm sure they're perfectly good to eat, and I'm going to eat every one of these. So, if anybody is in the know or has any comments, I'd love to hear it. So, on we go. So that's it. Microgreens 101. Anybody has any questions, you can post a question. I'm not too good at answering them because to be honest, I don't check in every 5 minutes. But that's basically it. Do not need to have a grow operation at all. You can do it all on the windowsill. You can use soil. You can use hydroponics. But I think just in terms, so for the Newfie audience, can't beat it, guys, gals, people. Highest density nutrition per calorie of anything. So, I mean, if you can get half a tray of that down into you a day, you'll live forever. And, you'll have nothing but good health from it. Klinghardt, folks, again, I don't know. The microgreens just look a lot better than the sprouts to me. And I have, I put my sprouts out in the sun and they greened up really nice. They're delicious. But I still think microgreens are probably the way to go. So if anybody is in the know from the official Klinghardt people, I would love to know, because if there's some rule that says the sulforaphane is stronger in sprouts in a jar than it is in microgreens, then I am going to be growing it all in bottles, which is just as easy. And if you want to see my video on sprouting, it's floating around there somewhere. So anyway, that's it. So to all my people, I always say, long may your big jib draw, but remember, it's going to draw a lot longer and further if you feed it right. See you, everybody.